Hello and welcome to Gaming Friday here on Off the Shelf Reviews. I'm Gary,
And I'm feeling a little bit hungover.
and today we are going to have a look at Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, which is a tactical espionage operations game from Konami Digital Entertainment.
I'm in the zen right now, Gary.
You're super excited, aren't you? And I know
I am
you are
super
a
excited.
massive Metal Gear Solid fanatic.
Have to sign in.
Oh, yep. So, oh,
There we go.
yep.
There we go.
And so this game came out in 2014.
Yes.
And was surrounded by a fair amount of controversy when it
Yes.
came out.
Yes.
And simply because this was just a fraction of Metal Gear Solid 5, was it Phantom
Pain.
Pain, and
yes, this was the I don't know 20-minute demo game that you could
20-minute
buy
demo game that they
for
released
fucking 30 quid with some extra
$30
bonuses.
or what have you, yeah. And so I think the controversy was that people were able to complete this demo or this game in just a minute.
Yeah, well, relatively, you've got about 8 hours to 20 hours of content in this little demo. 20, probably less.
You stretching it a
less.
bit
Yes,
farther?
yes, because if you're a really good Metal Gear player, you will knock through a lot of this really quite quickly.
Okay.
When this first came out, I waited. I waited a long time for this game.
Because well, did you wait a long time for this game, or did you wait a long time for Phantom Pain?
I waited a long time for both games. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, and I have followed the stories all the way through the games, pretty much played every single game I could get my hands on, and then when I heard about Ground Zeroes,
Yeah.
I was very excited. And then they released a demo for Phantom Pain, but they didn't call it Phantom Pain, it was something completely different, and you were like, it kind of looks like Metal Gear Solid. Ground Zeroes came out, and it just got bad press. Really bad press because obviously the game's length, the price of it, and how it's not really actually a full game. And so I was like, I can't afford to buy that right now. I'll wait until Phantom Pain comes out and see if there's any connection. Then when Phantom Pain came out, I was still like, that's still too expensive. I'm going to wait. And then I bought the two of them together and just played them in one full slog.
Nice. So I mean, that was kind of, I guess, how it was intended. So this is really just the prologue to Phantom Pain.
Yes.
Okay, now there is a long lineage of Metal Gear games. So technically, I mean, this is the fifth one in name.
Yes.
But
yes.
going back,
yeah.
I mean, we can go all the way back to 1987
Yes.
for Metal Gear.
Oh.
Which, I mean, for me, Metal Gear started in 1998, like over a decade later,
Yes.
with Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
That, for me, was where the franchise started and where my introduction to the character of Solid Snake and all of the colorful characters that would come from that point onwards. And
Yep.
I did fall out of the Metal Gear Solid's convoluted story and gave up after Metal Gear Solid 2. But Ian, fill in the blanks. There are a ton of Metal Gear games, and I think you've played them all.
I have played Metal Gear 2, Snake's Revenge, which was an unofficial Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Metal Gear Acid 2, Portable Ops 2, and obviously Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain. And the story, if you're not a fan, is very convoluted. It's all over the place.
I think it's
But
one of
if
the most
you-
convoluted stories in gaming history.
if you
Can
follow
you
it-
give us a recap, Ian?
Oh.
Please explain from to
From the
somebody
begin-
from outside of the franchise in a very simple and easy way to follow from Metal Gear Solid to Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay. Right, okay.
Where are we?
Where are we? Well, right now, we are actually back in 1974 in Cuba.
I said easier to follow.
Well, in this game right now, we're looking at a character from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker who was a follower of Big Boss.
Okay.
Okay, Big Boss is the world's most legendary soldier in the world, and he garnered that title from the woman known as the Boss. She was in charge of the first real Foxhound Special Forces unit. Big Boss was betrayed by his government and decided that he obviously wanted to create his own army of soldiers who only fought wars, not for money, not for control of land. It was just
What, freedom fighters?
No, well, not even freedom fighters. They're
Mercenaries.
soldiers who know nothing other than war. You know, Big Boss doesn't cook. He doesn't farm sheep. He just fucking goes and fights in battles. Oh, he sneaks in, actually. He sneaks in. He's Rambo. You know,
Okay.
we're basically following Rambo. Rambo had 3 sons taken from him by DNA coding sequences. You know, they were clones. And these bosses were then, these clones were then used by the government that had portrayed Rambo.
Big Boss.
Yeah,
right,
Big Boss.
Yeah.
His sons were sent to kill Big Boss because obviously he was the greatest soldier ever, which obviously brings you to Solid Snake, which a lot of people feel familiar to because he's the one that a lot of people played as. In the first game, Metal Gear, it was Solid Snake.
Yes.
In Metal Gear Solid, it was Solid Snake. It was Solid Snake all the way up until Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots.
And then who were you playing?
Then you would follow the storyline of Metal Gear Solid 3, going back a game and starting as Big Boss.
Okay.
And following his story all the way up through Metal Gear Solid 3, Peace Walker, Portable Ops 1 and 2, and then getting to Ground Zeroes and leading into Phantom Pain. Now, the end of Phantom Pain kind of bridges that tiny little gap between what happened to Big Boss and why he betrays Solid Snake in Metal Gear 1. For the NES.
So the whole story sort of comes full circle.
Yes,
and
I'm glad
so
I managed to get that all out.
So there's no loose ends then.
There, no, actually, that's the beauty of it. There are no loose ends, really.
I think it was Metal Gear Solid 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Which one was it that was criticized for having 2-hour cut sequences?
Oh, that would have been Metal Gear Solid 4.
Right.
But Metal Gear Solid 4 did have really long cut sequences that were beautifully put together.
Of course, yes.
They were well designed. They had really good script. The characters were relatable if you were a fan of the series. If you just picked up, I always say to people, don't ever pick up a Metal Gear Solid game and think you're going to be able to play it, because you're not. If you just go, oh look, there's a new Metal Gear Solid game, I'm going to buy it because everyone's saying it's going to be really, really good, and you sit down and play it, you're gonna lose it. And I forgot to actually put this one in, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance.
Resurgence. I don't know.
Where you play as Raiden as the ninja.
Right.
That was a Metal Gear Solid game which I have played, and I have completed part of the line that would come after Metal Gear Solid 4.
Was that part of the canon of Metal Gear stories?
It's part of the canon, but it has nothing to do with tactical stealth operations.
It was, I've got a samurai sword, look how many things I can cut up with it.
Yeah, and that's basically it. It was the gore factor. It was fun. It was something different, but you wanted Snake.
Yes, I mean, that for me was all the way back with Metal Gear Solid 2. It was when I was tricked and I thought I was playing as Snake, and then I spent 90% of the game playing as Raiden, and I just did not care for this character. It just didn't really gel or fit with the game, and from that point on, I was
no. Well, you say that from a personal view.
That's just from my opinion and my experience with it, and from that point on, I was. Unfortunately, that killed the Metal Gear Solid franchise for me, and I came back and played 4. And I was like, so I'm skipping 3.
You skipped 3, which was amazing.
Fuzzy memory of 2. Still absolutely loving Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation, one of the greatest PlayStation titles ever.
Yeah.
And so, my love for that game is what kept me still interested in coming back. And I tried to play 4.
4 was difficult.
And it was so difficult to get into. And I played it for about 4, maybe 6 hours, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of done. And then, of course, I thought it was the last one, and then Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes comes out with the promise of Phantom Pain being this huge open world.
Yeah, it is
closing the narrative,
yes.
And it kind of got me excited again. And then I just remembered, oh yeah, since Metal Gear Solid, I don't like stealth games. So I never bothered. I never came back.
You're not very good at them.
Sell it to me and tell me why I need to still play this game.
Like I said, it's difficult. If you are just going to pick up a Metal Gear Solid game, you need one thing that a lot of gamers don't have. You need patience. You need to be able to sit and judge how you are going to infiltrate a base, because you are a one-man army.
Okay.
I have, through my time playing this and Phantom Pain, I have taken down armies. I mean, you do it with Solid Snake. You did it in Metal Gear Solid. You just destroy armies, one man, with all the stuff that you will procure from that map. But you've got no magical powers. You've got no super special skill that's going to just wipe men out. You literally have to spend 10 minutes watching a guy's movements so that you can sneak up behind him, take him out, and move him to a location so his 10 other buddies don't miss him.
Yeah, see, I was it the Splinter Cell games?
Yes, I love Splinter Cell.
Was it Michael Ironside?
Michael Ironside,
see,
yeah.
I played a good portion of those games because for me it was a great balance between sneaking around and the gung-ho action moments, along with, I think one of the last games, I can't remember what the last Splinter Cell game was that I played where it was co-op. Added some nice features to it. And that kind of, it kept it a little bit more... obviously a very easy to follow storyline that was just kind of typical of a Hollywood summer blockbuster movie.
Yes.
Whereas this game,
Metal Gear Solid is a lot
tonally,
more,
it goes all over the place because you
Yeah.
get some fantastical characters. Whether it's is it DNA cloning or DNA manipulation?
Genetic manipulation.
We get characters with telepathic powers. We get, characters which are, is like a 100-year-old sniper.
Yeah. I love that bit. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3.
So there are just so many zany, crazy characters, and like Revolver Ocelot, I clearly remember him. Didn't he become the main villain throughout the series?
Yes, but funnily enough, and obviously this is why the story gets so crazy, is in Phantom Pain, he's actually your buddy, and you realise that actually he's got his own agenda. He's got his own agenda because he's actually trying to help Boss take down the big evil guys, which is like the controlling rich elite of the world. One of the things I do want to bring up before I forget is right now I'm Big Boss. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're not Solid
You're easily
Snake.
recognizable as Big Boss than Snake because he's got the eye patch, which he loses his eye in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right.
But I'm voiced by Kiefer Sutherland in this one and Phantom Pain instead of being voiced by David Hayter, as in the other Metal Gear Solid games.
Now, what the hell happened there, really?
I believe Konami just thought they were onto something so big they wanted to.
Was it that they wanted a more recognizable Hollywood actor to do the voice?
Because they're like, people aren't going to recognize who Solid Snake is, and it's like you recognize him by the voice.
Absolutely.
It's
only David Hayter can go Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, yeah.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
So as much as I like Kiefer Sutherland, I'm a big fan of 24.
Yes.
I like a lot of Kiefer Sutherland movies. His father's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Hearing him do the voice for this was another one of those things that just made me go, that's not Solid Snake or not Big Boss. I don't care for Kiefer Sutherland in this game. Kiefer Sutherland's not the first time he's added his voice to a video game. He added his voice to Call of Duty. I think it was World at War.
Yeah.
It made no difference to that game at all.
Shit.
Reasoning placing him in here was other than to piss off the fans. Because I know Konami have gone a long way to piss off their fans over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Do they even have fans anymore?
Well, but they have fans who enjoy their series of games, like Metal Gear.
I guess those that are unaware of the fact that it's a Hideo Kojima game, not really a Konami production. Well, it is, but
this right here, what I'm doing, shows you what Metal Gear Solid is basically. Look at that. I have used my iDroid binocular to target 1, 2.
So this is a stealth
3,
game. Tell
4,
me how the stealth works.
5, 6. I've targeted. I've got to infiltrate this base and rescue a few people that have been taken from our base.
Okay.
This is coming on from the back of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. So there's a whole story about Big Boss and gaining his own Metal Gear that I won't go into because it will take fucking hours. But his friends have been kidnapped and they're inside this army base. Right now, I am waiting for this guy on the sentry to move his light so I can sneak up and take him out. Now.
So how good is the enemy detection in this? And
it's
does
phenomenal.
It make the classic noise
it
when
does.
they spot you?
It does, but you really don't want it to because you'll just die. The alarm will go off. You'll have to run and hide. And for me personally, I feel like I've failed already. Even though I can run and hide and take I could kill everybody
As soon
anyway.
as you've alerted the base that something is amiss,
Yeah.
are they on lockdown the rest of the time, or do
Not
they just
really.
eventually
They do
go
what they
back?
normally. Yeah, they do what they normally
Right.
do and go. Oh, 10 of our guys are dead. We best get back to normal positions.
Yeah.
So right now I'm gonna grab this guy, and okay.
So
get
you
that.
had 3 options there by the
Yeah,
looks of
so I can
things?
left bumper interrogate him, right trigger keep tapping it to put him unconscious, or Y to kill him. Now me as Big Boss, I like to make them unconscious, even though that means they might wake up. I'm not a cold-blooded killer.
Right.
You know, I can be, but I don't want to
So
be.
is this just a moral quandary, or is this also? I mean, there was something that one of the Metal Gear games did that I thought was a fantastic concept, and that was that you end up walking through a river of death.
Yes, Metal Gear
And
Solid 3, yeah,
Metal Gear Solid 3, right. And so every enemy that you killed in the game
was in that river.
was like a soul floating in that
Yeah.
river coming towards
Yeah.
you. And if you killed nothing,
If you could nothing,
No snakes, no enemies, no nothing.
nothing. The
The
whole
river would be
would
empty.
be blank. And Metal Gear Solid 3 for me was what revitalized my love for the game. I mean, I loved every game up to that point, but Metal Gear Solid 2 was a bit of a drag.
Yes.
Especially when I played as Raiden, because I was just like, if you bring out a Metal Gear Solid game where I'm riding again, I might just not play it. Then Metal Gear Solid 3 came out, and I fell in love with the series again. I was just like, what's next? You know, give me what's next, because that was phenomenal, fucking phenomenal. And then they brought out Metal Gear Solid Guns of the Patriot, which obviously, like we said, was difficult to get through. Really long cut sequences, but finished off that arc of storylines.
yeah.
And then I got to play as Big Boss again, and after my love of Metal Gear Solid 3, I was just like, yeah, give me more Big Boss. Snake's gone and dead, he's grown old. I understand
But
what's
the
happened to
universe
him.
continues, and there are other characters.
But,
But
as a spoiler, I'm going to put this in now if you've never played it. In the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, Snake meets Big Boss. And you're...
you'd think so after 4
Oh, shit.
4 games.
Shit.
Is
Oh,
that,
there's a truck.
has he seen you?
He's just about to, but I just put him to sleep.
So what happened there? Was that bullet time slow-mo?
Yeah,
What
that was
happened
bullet time slow-mo. See, the Jeep
Is
was
that a
going on
new
a routine
feature?
path. Yes, it's going on a routine path. You can turn it off in the options.
Okay.
And while I was sneaking along talking to you without the game's volume turned up, I didn't hear him driving up. So it
Yeah.
slowed down, and luckily, because of my skill, I turned around and shot him in the face with
Just in
with a
time.
tranquilizer gun.
So what else other than the stealth works? So obviously avoiding the lights, avoiding enemies' lines of view.
Yeah.
What tools or tricks do you have other than your silenced pistol?
Well, you just literally have your stealth skills. You
Do you have the cardboard box?
Yes, you do have the cardboard box, and it is really, really good. But I tend to not put myself in a situation where
I
I'll
think
need
if you
it.
shoot a person in the eyeball with a
tranquilizer
tranquilizer, I
gun.
think you're still killing them
No, they're fine. See, the little Z's on by his head means he's asleep
forever. Indeed.
forever until something
Okay,
comes along.
so if all hell were to break loose, I imagine a form of combat would ensue.
Yeah.
So is it possible then to I say possible? Is it possible to go now guns blazing and kill everyone in the base and then just wander around the entire base without
Yes.
any more enemies?
Yes.
That is possible.
That is possible. You just, like I said, as a Metal Gear Solid fan, you don't have to. If you've gotten up to this point playing the game series,
Yeah.
you have snuck through. Look at Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation.
Oh, of course.
You ran around, shot everything in sight, and everything was dead. But I like I said, felt like a failure, and wanted to go back and try and sneak past everybody without having to kill them. It was kind of crazy because in Metal Gear Solid, I actually did enjoy sneaking around, breaking every single person's neck, thinking, "Hey,
That was how you
take out the enemy."
Yeah.
And then they go, "No, here's a tranquilizer gun. Now try and take them out." And I find with the tranquilizer gun, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, obviously with the challenge of them also waking up and
Yeah.
resuming their guard duties without telling anyone what just happened.
Right, come on, put it down.
So how good is the combat system if and when the combat does ensue? Is it do you have regenerating health? Do you have a certain amount of health?
Yes, you do have.
Is it cover based combat?
You do have regenerating health, and you can use the cover for combat. But it's a case of if I can get into some light, if you can see what I'm wearing a stealth suit, which obviously stops my heat leaving,
Yeah.
quietens me down. So I'm not wearing body armor. So you imagine 3 guys with assault rifles. They will
Open fire on you.
Open
It's gonna
fire
be
me.
over quick.
It's going to be over quick, and you'll fall down and dead.
Right.
If you're in a good position with some good cover, then yeah, you could headshot every single guy, but then you've got 10 dead bodies all lying there, and if anybody comes along, the alarm's going to sign off again, and you might not be so lucky the next time.
Yeah.
Especially when helicopters start turning up, tanks start turning up, Phantom Pain and Peace Walker. Sorry, I keep moving slowly because I'm pretty sure there's a guy to my right. I've just got to be careful of. In Phantom Pain and Peace Walker, you fought battles against guys with tanks and jets.
I was going to say there were some massive boss battles and some really over-the-top
Yeah.
fights in the previous Metal Gear games, and it doesn't seem like this one has gone in that direction.
This
or
one,
does it?
this one definitely doesn't. But Phantom Pain does, just like Peace Walker did.
Okay.
And the beauty of Metal Gear Solid, like I said, with the Rambo feature, is
you have big guns
trying
to
to
combat
take
these
out
Metal Gears.
Not at first, because when you're
Yeah.
doing the story, you have to unlock the weapons as you progress. So you first fight the bosses with like standard weaponry, and trying to take down a helicopter and 20 guys on your own with just a rocket launcher and a heavy machine gun, it's quite difficult.
Does it harken back to the, because I still fondly remember Metal Gear Solid. I remember fighting, is it Liquid Snake, fist fighting on the top of a Metal Gear?
Yeah.
And so, that over-the-top grandiose sort of boss battle moment, is anything like that come back in this game, or actual Phantom Pain?
In not in this one. There is something cool later on in this game. At the beginning, in the cut sequence. Oh, where's he going? I've just shot his friend there and killed him. So I'm hoping he's not going to turn around. But just to make sure.
And
Sleepy
time. Oh, he's busted.
Got him.
He
was
it
like,
still
"What was
sounds
that?"
pretty
And I shot him
brutal
in the
when you
face.
shoot them in the head with a trank bullet. Oh, that wasn't a
No, it wasn't a tranquil. That was a silenced gun. Yeah, where was that? Cool boss battles. And oh shit, we're under fire.
Uh-oh.
Suppressed weapon.
So I guess now we find out how good the combat system
Well,
is.
they're going into their first stage of alert, so
Right.
they're going to start sending units over here. So I better move from here, because the units are going to head over here and find the dead bodies. The alarm's going
Entering alert
to
status,
stay now. So everyone's on a tighter phase. In this one, at the beginning, in the cut sequence, you saw the main guy pull off the XOF patches on his guys, which is basically a reverse Fox patches.
Right.
And they're on the map right now in normal play mode. If
Okay,
I
so
could probably
like
go and find them.
collectibles, or?
They are collectibles, because if you collect all 9, you get to trade them in to Raiden, and you get to play as Raiden and do some special missions just on this map.
Right.
But then again, if you can come back and try and find little Metal Gear Solid moments.
What are those?
Little Metal Gear Solid moments are little things like I could drive a Jeep really fast under a bridge and come up on a ramp, just like
Okay.
the end of Metal Gear Solid where you drove up on the
Yeah.
ramp. And it's like, yeah, I just recreated Metal
it.
Gear Solid on this. So.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So you said replayed the level. How many levels are in this game? Because I was under the impression that this was it.
This is it.
Just the map.
This is just the map.
How big is this one map? Because it
Quite big. So we've got the small camp barracks down there. You see all
Yeah.
the tents. Then you've got the operations buildings there.
Right.
Over there past... Oh, you see that guy down there?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tag him so I can see him. And his mate over there. Over there, past those trees, is the prison area where I need to rescue a couple of extra prisoners.
Okay.
Then you've got the
So
main...
the camp is a little bit bigger than what it would appear here. Because
Yes.
otherwise I'm like, I can see all 4 walls.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's that large
It's
a map.
it's not. Well, over there's a little indoor area past where that aerial tower is. There's a little indoor area where there's a couple of extra guys. But this is it. It's just like a large base. Yeah, so then over there it's got the extra part of the base and the helicopters and fights. So it's like a large base.
So yeah, like I said, it does appear the base is larger than it does appear in what we're seeing at the moment. So the base doesn't repopulate afterwards. It's
Yeah.
you said that there was different
reset
missions.
the base.
So
The different missions are just extra add-ons. Like when you unlock Raiden, you can actually go around, and the base's guards, who haven't really changed, have been infected by body snatchers from space. And there's like this
What?
there's this whole deep story about how they had come across. they had come across a alien ship that had crashed in the ocean and had dredged it onto land, and the aliens had taken command. And now Raiden has to come
And
along
this is where
and
I
kill
talk
them all.
about where Hideo Kojima just goes, you know what the fuck?
Yeah, just
I'm
what
just
the
gonna
fuck? I'm
go-
just going to add bonuses into this because I look at this little story should have been at the beginning of Phantom Pain.
Right.
But I think Konami was like, no, we need to make money, so get this out now. And I think
Well,
Kojima was like, it's not ready. And they're like, we don't care.
Well, I don't think that Phantom Pain was even finished when they released it. And again, this brings us on to the problems with Konami and how they've pretty much lost all support in the gaming industry. And it's surprising that anyone would still want to work for such a ruthless and horrible company when you hear the horror stories about how they treat their staff. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't get the animations or the textures just right, you're sent off to go and clean the fucking shit out of their spas.
Well, we're
It's like,
talking about
is this
a
real?
company that has to make a lot of money over the course of their games. You know,
It's also just very sad that they are now pretty much bowing out of the video game industry and really only working on what was it, the Pro Evolution football games,
Yeah.
and mobile games, and that is it. So at the same time, it is after E3, it is fucking awesome that Hideo Kojima is now freed from the shackles
Hell
of
yes.
Metal Gear, and he's not forced to keep churning out these games because I felt like the story was over with 4. And yet here comes 5, and it's telling more story. And it would have seemed like Konami would have just gone, okay, we've got rid of Hideo Kojima, now we can keep making our own Metal Gear franchise yearly or whatever.
well, I think to finish it off, Kojima was there for Phantom Pain and just finished it off and was just like, here's the game.
Yeah.
It's done.
But the thing is,
bringing it back
he always walked away. He was always like, hey, I'm done with the Metal Gears. And then he'd be like, okay, I'll executive produce the game. And then he'd be like, right, you're fired, I'm taking over production of the game. And
but it's his baby. He was the one who wrote the first one. And so he had a story arc that's what I kept coming back for. That's what I wanted to finish. Yeah, Konami does do a lot of shit with their games. Look at the Silent Hill series. If Kojima has anything to do with it, I reckon he will obviously go with Norman Reedus and make that awesome.
Well, it's absolutely going to happen now. So we are going to get a Silent Hills-ish game from them.
Sleepy. Oh, did you like that? That's what I love about this fucking game.
It's quite satisfying.
I just snuck up and shot that guy in the face.
So what is the highlight of this game? What is why?
Oh, it's just bridge for me. For anybody, it should just be bridging the gap between Peace Walker and Phantom Pain, finishing off the story arc. Like I said, if you followed the Lineage, you need to follow the Lineage. You can't just pick up this game and start playing it because there are characters in this game that you're rescuing that have big story twists.
Yeah.
And if you have no connection to them from the previous game, so it's just a waste.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, maybe it's not a waste. I guess it's just that you're missing out. So I guess, you could still play the game and then start learning as you go.
Oh, you could. And you could go, I suppose you could also go back and play Metal Gear Solid 3 after you play this, but then, you, like I said, you're going to have to do the whole thing. You're going to have to really go back and do everything to know where all the steps start, where they lead, where they finish, where they end, why one character is just like one another. I will say, though, as much as I love these games, they do get a bit repetitive.
In what sense?
In the sense that I love the stealthing.
Yeah.
But the bosses, the story arc, it's all pretty much the same. There's always a female character with a sniper rifle or some kind of long weapon that's going to fuck you up. There's always a big Metal Gear to fight, be it Rex or Ray or TXH184, whatever it was, or Salanthropus, as it was in fucking Phantom Pain. This game is the only one that doesn't have a Metal Gear in it.
Right.
But you're kind of like glad because
it seems more like what do you call it? A stealth simulator, espionage simulator.
Hey, look, a surveillance camera. If you play Metal Gear Solid, you get that. So it's like a stealth simulator, basically.
So, obviously, we got the one level. How well designed is this one level?
Oh, beautiful.
And is it still worth playing this game now before playing Phantom Pain?
Yes. No. It depends on how you feel. You know, this sets up Phantom Pain to the point that the controls only change a little bit in the next game. Just a little bit. I mean, I've moved up to this guy, so I've got to go really slow mode. But if I ran and pressed X, I would do a massive jump and roll into cover. In the next one, you don't have that.
Right.
And it's kind of good because I'm like, look how... I'm going to take out this guy and... Oh, where's he gone? Where the fuck's he gone? There was a guy right there, I swear. He's moved over here. Sorry, I know his pattern. He's moved over here and he's going to fucking... I got to reload my gun as well.
So, do you recommend the Metal Gear,
you bastard,
Ian, to people that say, like me, that have not played the other Metal Gear games? Is it possible that we could just pick up Ground Zeroes and then...
You know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say no. If you have no interest in playing Metal Gear games after Metal Gear 2...
Is there no way of learning the lore of the previous games within this game? Or is it just going to be nonsensical?
The only it would just not make any sense. The only way you would learn the lore without playing the games or reading any of the books is probably watching all the cut sequences put together on a video on YouTube. And that might be enjoyable, but it would be very long-winded and it would have to hold your interest. You'd have to have a character. Like you said, you really love the Ocelot character.
Yeah.
So you could learn exactly what happened to Ocelot all the way through the Metal Gear Solid games.
I like him. I just found him a memorable villain.
Yeah, well, that's it. You would learn a lot of why he is a villain, where he comes from. Here's the big twist. In Metal Gear Solid 3, you play as Big Boss. Or you play as Snake, who takes out the boss. The boss was Revolver Ocelot's mum.
No.
And so the big twist is when Snake was used by the government to take out the boss for complete control. You know, Ocelot decided he was going to take out the government and worked with Snake to take him out to ultimately become the big villain at the end. He purposely set himself up to be killed by Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4 because that was the big way to take down the Patriots.
Yeah.
I've lost you, mate.
You've lost me. I'm like, who are the Patriots?
Who are the Patriots? Exactly.
Yeah, so, I definitely don't recommend Ground Zeroes unless you can get it for free.
Yeah.
Or whether it comes with, the actual game of Phantom Pain. But I guess for me, this it felt cheap. It felt like a tutorial. It felt like it was bitten off of the actual game and then released as its own game for Konami to just make some extra money.
Yeah.
It felt like a cash grab. And it just felt like it was just baiting its audience to there's more to come.
But
it's
weirdly enough,
a piecemeal.
It's such a beautiful
money
grab.
That is
it's
the
such
thing.
A beautiful,
so,
I would spend money on. I did spend money on it.
Of course, I'd recommend this game to Metal Gear fans. They've already got it and played it and completed it in 30 seconds or spent the whole 10 hours.
Yeah, they're watching me right now. They're like, "You fucked up there. You
You
did that all wrong." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
So I am the worst person to recommend a stealth game because I am not a fan of stealth games. But I think that this game is probably the epitome of the best stealth game available on consoles. It just from its legacy and from its history and from its convoluted storylines. Some of it's zany, some of it's funny, and some of it's really serious and gripping, and will make you ask questions about your own government and conspiracies and the future of genetic testing.
Man, I just completely cocked that up. Sorry.
That's all right. Final words, Ian.
Final words. Like Gary said, if you're a Metal Gear Solid fan, you already own it. You already know what you're thinking about it. You're already playing it. If you are not a Metal Gear Solid fan, you really need to do the whole thing instead of just jumping in at Ground Zeroes because you will have no idea what's going on and it just won't make any sense. It is a fun shooter. I do just like kicking off and just fucking killing everybody every now and again.
What's with the weird glowing bit around them?
Oh, that's because I'm scanning them, so It's combat,
it's just
Gary.
A weird
it's
visual,
combat.
It's like a weird visual glitch.
It just tells me that they're alive. There he is, and yeah.
Okay, well that's going to be it from us here on Off the Shelf Reviews this Gaming Friday. We'll be back next Friday with another video game. Of course, film reviews on Thursdays. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
I fucking rule! Ah!